Today we play golf.
Let me show you how we do it in the pros.
Welcome to Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
I never miss with the 7-iron.
A conversation with some of the most interesting innovators and entrepreneurs behind the biggest names in golf.
My friends with the golf clubs. I lived on the golf course. I lived on the driving range.
From pro talk.
You should learn something from each and every single round you play.
To fun from on and off the green.
Why would you play golf if you don't play it for money?
Just let me put the ball in the hole.
This is Behind the Golf Brand Podcast with Paul Liberatore.
What's up, guys? Paul from Golfers Authority. Welcome to the Behind the Golf Brand Podcast. This week, we are on episode 75, which is crazy. And this week, I also have my good friend, Marc Cordeira from Kraken Golf. I've been a fan of Kraken for a long time, and I literally remember I can remember the day I talked to Marc for the first time, and I was all excited because I think what he does with just everything really when it comes, he does leather goods, he does ball markers, divot tools, it's high quality. It's almost like art, to be honest. So we started talking probably 2.5 years ago, and we reviewed a divot tool, and it's awesome. So I'm really excited to have him on the show because he's grown crazy since then. I'm really happy to have him here. So welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it.
So where do you live?
Acushnet, Massachusetts. So about an hour south of Boston. And local folks will say we're not part of Cape Cod until you get over the bridge. So close to Cape Cod, but not technically on Cape Cod.
Aren't you guys close to Snell? Isn't Snell down the street from you somewhere?
Yeah. Dean's actually a member at the same country club as me. But yeah, he's here in New Bedford area.
Dean's really cool. He's funnier than shit, man. He is so funny. I had him on the show a year ago, and his stories about first of all, it's he's telling stories about hockey and getting in fights at the golf course, and it was just his first time ever playing golf with his dad, ever. He was in college, and he said he hit his ball in the woods, and he went to go look for his ball, and then these guys hit up on his dad. And his dad got pissed, and then these guys he turned around and him and his dad and these guys were fighting on the fairway, and and then he jumped in on it. That's his first memory of golf, for real. I was not expecting that at all, but
that's like a New Bedford type of thing. That's kind of what
is it? Yeah, it's you don't mess with us, bro. You don't hit up on us. He's I didn't even like golf back then. He's a hockey player. That's all he did. So. Is it cold as hell there right now? Because I thought there's some big blizzard coming or something.
No, it's actually 55 today. So for us in March, that's a treat. So yeah,
some kind of cyclone bomb snow thing, or is that not by you guys?
That was last weekend, but literally the day before that it was 60, and the next day it was 20 with a cyclone bomb. So is it
the weird weather of March essentially?
Yeah, well, it's supposed to be all 50s next week, which is just weird. But what will happen is next weekend there'll be a snowstorm after a week of 50s. That's just how it goes. But yeah,
it's coming though. Spring's coming.
Yeah,
right? You got to the hard part.
Golf. I'm gonna get out and play some golf next week, hopefully. So take advantage.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're not a golf pro, right?
No, not at all.
Did you play golf? Did you play golf growing up, or did you play golf in high school, or what?
No and no. I started playing golf probably when I was 19. So yeah. I played now, I'll date myself, 25 years or so now.
Did you grow up in that area?
Yeah, I grew up in Acushnet, moved away for a couple of years with my wife, and then we moved back to Acushnet 4 or 5 years ago.
Where do you guys live? Where do you guys move to?
A small town called Attleboro, which is north of Providence, Rhode Island, but still in Massachusetts.
So you stayed in that area your whole life?
Yeah.
Born and bred.
Yeah, never leaves.
So what made you have you always been artistic? What made you decide that, hey, I want to start making golf stuff?
So like I said, I played for years, but it's funny that when I started milling or machining probably, 10 years ago now. I started a brand called Next 18 Golf. It's still out on Instagram. I don't do anything with it anymore. But me and a buddy of mine were partners, and we basically built a golf belt type company. We did custom golf belts for schools and stuff like that, all machined. But it started a little bit before that. I bought a Grizzly G0704, I think it was, drill press. And I saw it on YouTube, just like laying in bed with my wife one night. And some guy was machining something on it. And so it was just a drill press. I converted it to a CNC mill with a conversion pad.
For reals?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
And all in, it was like $3,000. And my wife thought I was crazy for spending $3,000 on this thing that went in the corner of my garage, and she couldn't get her car in anymore. And we started making golf belt buckles off of this thing. Terrible machine. I shouldn't say terrible, but it is what it is for $3,000. And
You could pay for.
it's all I could afford at the time. I had no skills. I'm not a machinist grade or anything like that. So I figured it all out on YouTube and just started milling belt buckles and grew that business. I think we got up to like 12,000 users or followers on Instagram. And then,
That's pretty good.
yeah, it was 2 years of craziness. And
What year was this?
this is probably 2015, 2016, around there.
Before that, were you into like CNC stuff or not really? You just saw it and you're like, oh, it's cool. I could do something cool with that.
Yeah, I saw it one day on YouTube. I thought it was cool. I was like, oh, I want to fool around with this machine, see what I can do with it. And
Yeah.
that was it. So now I'm 10 CNC machines later here at Kraken, and much bigger, production level machines now, not hobby level machines. I mean, that wasn't even a hobby level machine. It was
That was even a drill press, dude.
Yeah,
that was even like seriously, that's like redneck CNC right there.
It was a total science experiment,
Yeah, like come on.
I'm going to convert this thing to a mill, and I would sit there literally with a little spray can of like lubricant and spray it so the bit wouldn't like melt down or stick into the metal. It was really hands-on. Like,
How do you turn that into okay, like I did some CNC stuff like in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I learned about how to do stuff. Like I used to be in aviation, right? So I was like, how to do aviation CNCing essentially.
Yeah.
And so like what I remember back then, it was like early days. It was like the 90s, dude. Like,
Yeah.
like nothing was that tack, right? I think we had to use like, it was probably nothing like it is nowadays. But how do you do how do you even do a belt? Do you have to, if you have like a drill press that you convert, like you
Yes.
can manually do that, or like is it like programmable and it does do it for you, or how does that happen?
Well, yeah. So with the add-on to it to convert it to a CNC, it was basically just it was an engraving machine. So I would take little billets of aluminum, I would cut it to a rectangle shape. I would buy those little screw-on things in the back that make it a belt buckle, essentially. Hook onto the strap and all that. But the CNC part, all I would do is engrave like whatever the college logo or whatever logo they wanted. That's all I used the CNC for. It wasn't actually machining a belt buckle, a high end.
Yeah. It was customizing a piece of aluminum.
Yeah, it was a rectangular piece of aluminum with an engraving on it, and I screwed on a belt buckle attachment on the back. So, I mean, this is really primitive stuff, compared to what.
But that was programmable or no? That was more.
No, it was programmable for the engraving,
So then how does that work? Is it like what kind of file is that? Is that like a.
I used Fusion 360, which I still use today. So same CAD program that I use today. But, I mean, for engraving, easy, no big deal.
So you did that, and you had a partner. How you said you only did that for a couple of years?
We did for a couple of years, and then it was mostly me hands-on. He did a lot of the financing of everything, the marketing, all that type of stuff. And then I had dreams of Kraken, right? I wanted big machines, lasers, like heavy-duty equipment, and he was just. He was different than that with me. He was more conservative in terms of what he wanted to purchase and what money he wanted to put into it. And at some point, I just, I needed to do my own thing,
Yeah, and you wanted to do something different, really, is what it was, right?
Yeah,
and kind of build something new and
him and I
different.
were still best of friends. We, he's my biggest golf buddy. We just had a trip down to Florida to the PGA show together. So,
oh, that's cool.
We're cool and all, but I had to go do my thing,
Bro, your stuff is so good. It's not even funny. I can't. Like, I'm on your website right now while you're talking, and it's like the level of where you were even 2.5 years ago and to where you're at now is like night and day, and you were good back then.
I would say 6 months ago. So
it blows my mind. The stuff you're making, I'm like, how does he even do that in metal? Like it just blows my mind. Like I don't know.
I'm trying to over-engineer it as much as possible on purpose. That's my goal every day. How can I make a ball marker more intricate and needlessly more intricate than it already is? And if I can do that,
it's not basic at all. It's not like some cheap, like, it looks so good. Oh my God. All right. We'll get to that in a minute. What'd you do with Next 18? I mean, you still have the Instagram account, but you don't really do anything with it and whatever. Right.
Yeah,
I guess would Kraken ever do belts, buckles?
I have. I've done 2 or 3 releases with belt buckles. Not much at all.
Is everything kind of a test for you where like you'll make a small run, right? Because everything you do is limited run. And you go, oh yeah, this worked or not worked. I don't want to do that no more. Or, like people not really into belt buckles or, like that. Yeah. Is that how you do it?
I think belt buckles are so 2015.
Or even before that. I think it's like 2009 to 2012. Yeah.
There's companies that still do it. And there's some PGA pros that, wear custom belt buckles and so forth. But I just don't find them interesting anymore. That's the one problem with me is I get bored real quick. So that's why I have literally a new product every single week, because if I were to make the same thing over and over again, I'd go crazy. So I even go crazy making 30 or 50 of something. Like I'm already have an idea for the next.
You're already Jones in for the next one, or you think of something while making something, and you're like, "Oh, that'd be cool."
Oh yeah. If I had no discipline, I would stop mid run and move to the next thing because I'll think of something that's cooler already. So yeah, it's a tough business model though, because literally I make a new product every single week. So it's
really?
Yeah. I never remake anything. If I do, there's some sort of variation to it, but once it's made, it's done, and we move on.
Like, I would say right now, you're the very first quote unquote artist I've had on the show, right? Like, I've worked with a lot of artsy brands, and this is not a bad thing, right? Like, custom putter, custom whatever. But like, your stuff is just so good. Like, it blows my mind. Like this is not his full-time job, right? Like he told me that again today. I forgot. Like, this is not your full-time job, right? Like, you do something else, correct?
Right. Yeah. I know I have a corporate job, so
it's a corporate job. Like, I thought like Mark was doing this full-time because you look at what he does and you realize how much time it really takes to customize this stuff and make it look that good. And it's like you think, oh, he'd have to be doing this full-time. Or have full, and it's like, no, I do this on the side.
Well, I am. So I probably spend a good 60 hours a week on Kraken.
Yeah, but like, you can say 100 hours a week on it.
At least 60. If for up my wife, I'd cut it down a bit. But like, I love doing it. So like 60 hours goes by like literally like it feels like 10 hours. Like I could keep doing it.
Well, it's all love, right? It's passion. It's like
100%.
It's all it is, right? There's no stress to this, right? The stress is like after you make it, I gotta make some money. My wife's gonna kill me because I'm buying stuff, like the normal stuff. Yeah, but it's like
is meeting deadlines. So like if you ask people that follow me now, I don't do quite as much custom as I did before, just because making one of one is like crazy, So to set up the mill to make one item, it's just not worth it when you think about it. So I've stopped doing that quite as much. There's some simple things I'll do. Like, I've made a bunch of round milled markers. They're on the shelf. And if someone wants something laser engraved on it, not a big deal. But a whole piece that's completely different shape or something along those lines, I've stopped doing it. I can't justify it anymore. I just don't have the time or the bandwidth for it.
So I guess let's talk about the evolution of Kraken. So then what year did Kraken start?
2017, November 2017.
And then at that point, did you have a different CNC machine, not your janky ghetto one at that point?
I had, I started off with a Tormach P440, which is a hobbyist machine, high-end.
Like, what did that cost? I have no idea. What kind of machine like that would cost?
Fully loaded.
It's $5,000?
Like 12, 15 grand fully loaded.
Whoa.
So.
Okay. So then you get that and you said, I'm going to start making something. What was the first thing you made?
I think it was a money bag ball marker. So shaped like a money bag. And it was
I
just,
remember that.
I think it was paint filled maybe. It was either paint filled or there was no fill. It was just brass and with an engraving, and that was it.
So then how many of those did you make?
At the time,
150?
probably like 10, 20.
Because of the cost of material, right? Like, what does material cost right now? Like, when you make a ball marker, what does it cost
Right now, it's crazy expensive with, post COVID and all that stuff. But back in the day, not quite as much. I mean, you get a sheet of brass. At the time, it was probably a 6-inch by 6-inch sheet, and I would cut out like 9 ball markers out of that. And so that sheet would probably be $25, if I remember right.
But then, I'm asking a lot of dumb questions. I don't know how this world works, right? So, like, do you buy this? Do you buy the material like from a distributor, or like there's like craft store? You know what I'm saying? Not craft store, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, how would you buy big pieces of metal to make stuff?
It depends what type of metal, but I get a lot of stuff from vendors online. They have online marketplaces. You can buy bar stock in quantity.
Raw material, right?
Absolutely. And then leather. There's everything's online. I don't go anywhere. I buy everything online and it gets shipped to my door. I don't have time to go to a store.
No way. Yeah.
Going to the post office is even problematic some days. So
Are you doing all your own shipping?
Yes.
I did that all last year with my brand, dude. Oh my god, I spent so many hours. I think one day I spent 6 hours just filling packages. It was the worst use of your time, right?
Sometimes my daughter helps me. So anybody that gets packages and the label's a little off-center, that's because she packaged it. If I packaged it, it'd be perfect because I'm weird. But she just slaps a label on. It's like, it's a package, Dad. I don't care.
I think that's what my labels look like towards the end of me putting them on. I'm getting tired of doing it. I'm like, people are not going to care what their dumbass label looks like. That doesn't happen. Open the bag up. Like, when did you started upgrading the machine after that? Like, how long do you wait to upgrade a machine? Like, do you wait like so much time or so much money you make, or like, I have no idea.
Yeah, it was money driven and then production, right? So like on the Tormach, I was literally making 1 or 2 pieces at a time. It's a small table. You can't fit like multiple vices on it or anything like that. So as you can imagine, I was cranking out literally 1 tool at a time. And the other thing with the Tormach, I'll get a little bit technical here. It didn't have a tool changer. So every time I had to move to a different tool, different size tool, a ball end mill, a square end mill, I would have to stop the machine, or the machine would stop. I would go in there, change the tool out, and then run a program.
Take the chuck and I'd take out the thing manually, all that stuff.
It would take forever to produce 10 ball markers, So, and then, the speeds were slower on a machine like that, et cetera. So I bought my first Haas 3 years ago, I think it was. 3 years ago now, two and a half. And now I have 2. And these are production level machines with tool changers, and I can have
super fast.
Yeah, super fast, 6 vices on them. I have a CM1, which is like the best thing ever from Haas. And most of the time, people use it in like the dental industry or jewelry industry. It's super fast, 50,000 RPMs, and I use all my divot tools and ball markers are milled on that because it's so fast. And something like brass or copper, it just beats the crap out of that stuff like real quick. Like I'll get like 6 tools done in like 20 minutes, opposed to in the old days it was like an hour to do 1 tool with all the
now
tools.
It's more about time. It's not about efficiency of time. Like it's money and time, right? It's kind of like that balance.
It's money, time, and then also because it spins at 50,000 RPM, I can use really, really small tools and fast, so I can get more intricate designs.
Oh, wow.
So time, efficiency, and intricacy.
So as you grow the brand, it's like that's the balance for you, right? Like initially it's more, you put more time because you have less money, and then you get more money, then you buy more machinery, and then you start upgrading that machinery, and then it's like, and that's kind of the flow, right?
Yeah, I mean, so you do it to increase productivity, but for me, the biggest reason for buying machines is to get more and more intricate. And how can I differentiate
what you want
from everybody else, right? Like, so everybody has mills now, and at this point, it seems like everybody's got lasers now, for that matter.
They're cheap. My lasers are really cheap.
Well, not mine, but yeah, there's some cheap.
Well, no, I mean, like you can get cheap stuff that people can do whatever on.
For $6,000, you can get a decent fiber laser that will do engravings all day long for you. for me, it's just like, what's the next thing I can buy that will separate me from everybody else? So last week I bought
your quality is like impeccable, man. Like
Thank you.
I mean, like it shows, right? Because I mean, when you look at the designs, we can kind of go over them a little bit, but like I can't believe you do what you did on something that small and it looks that good. So, like you had this one. I remember this. I don't have it, but like you did like a fish one, like these like Japanese koi looking thing. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Dude, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. That looks like a piece, like a painting. You know, like the detail in that. And I think I must have posted that, or I saw it somewhere. I reposted it. I thought it was so cool what you did.
Thank you.
I don't even know how you would do that. Like, cause I mean, they got the ball marker, right? I mean, how big is that? Big as a quarter?
Yeah.
That's insanity. Like, I mean, so who does the design work for it? Are you drawing that, or you find it? Like, how do you?
It's a combination. So I'll find I find a lot of inspiration on Pinterest. So I spend a lot of time on Pinterest just looking at art and stuff like that. But yeah, in some instances I'll download something, I'll buy an image off somebody. Sometimes I'm freehand drawing stuff. It depends on what it is, right? And what I'm trying to achieve. I mean, there's so many options. And then the biggest thing is you got to convert it to machine code or to laser code, or
you do that? You have to hire somebody.
No, that's me. I mean, I don't hire anybody. I wish I did, but no, it's just all me. But I mean, it's the biggest.
You get inspired, right? You'll get inspired by something you see, and you'll either. I mean, are you an artist naturally? I
don't like to call myself that. I feel like that's. I don't know. I'm weird about that. I don't like that name.
Yeah, but I mean, you draw. I mean, you could draw.
Yeah, I draw, and yeah, I mean, I create every day, every week, every day.
You're an artist, bro. Just say it. You're an artist. Like, nothing wrong with that. I don't even know who your competition is, honestly.
No, there's a lot of good guys in the space. That's one thing I will say that's important to me is there's a lot of guys in the space that do what I do, and we all share. Like behind the scenes, we all share.
Competitors. No, it's like your allies. You're like
I root for everybody. I mean, the more people we can bring into the space that want to collect the things that we make, I'll root for anybody to do well here. You know, like
you're not gonna.
You know, one guy I talk to a lot is Olson Manufacturing. So he's a cool guy. We share stuff all the time. He makes incredible putters, like and it's art.
In California.
He's in California, I think it's.
I talked to him a long time ago.
But he's a good guy. We'll bounce things off each other.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But that's what this space is, and I root for everybody because I mean, for me, the biggest thing is like, how do we grow the game of golf, right? And the more people that want to collect our stuff is more customers for all of us, you know, because once you get one piece, you don't stop there. You want more. Like you want to see what the next cool piece is from somebody. So it's a friendly competition, but at the same time, you want everybody to succeed because it grows.
But there's also respect too, right? Like you're like, oh, that's cool. Whoa, how'd you do that? You know, do you guys, with those other guys, do you guys like, I don't want to use the word collaborate, but like kind of ask questions like, hey, how'd you get that blah, 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 you know?
Oh, absolutely. Guys reach out to me all the time. I'm more than happy to share what I've learned, you know?
I love, yeah.
So, yeah.
People always ask me that. They're always like, well, who are your competitors? I'm like, I don't really think about that. Like, I feel like anybody who's not like the big boys are, you know, they're my allies, not my competitors. Like, we're all doing the same thing. We're creating content. So it's like, yeah, we'll share. We'll figure out how we did it.
I'm just a little guy in Massachusetts that's making some stuff, right? But all of us together growing that golf collectible type niche, it helps all of us. You know, the more people that collect.
You're creating an industry that wasn't there 5-6 years ago. No one was, you know, people were collecting, but they were collecting like Scotty Camerons, right? Or like mass manufactured company with cool stuff, but there wasn't like niche products being made. You know, you see that with the putters in the last 5 years and the wedges, right?
Yeah.
Like custom, like, you know, the stuff that with what you've done though, like you started making small stuff, right? Like accessories, ball markers, divot tools, but now you're moving into other goods too. Like you've made putters now and you're making leather goods, and it's like you just keep on expanding on what you're making. So it shows to me it's like your creativity is endless, man, because it's not like, oh, I'm the ball marker guy and I make custom ball markers. It's like, no, I make cool stuff and I just want to make cool stuff.
Well, it's funny though. It's just like you get in those. I have those days where I wake up and I don't have a creative bone in my body, and it's funny because I'll tell my wife, I'm like, man, I'm just done with this whole thing. I can't think of anything anymore. I'm just done. I'm gonna quit.
Yeah, right.
He's like, shut up.
It's like, get that crap out of my garage. I want to park in the garage again.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I mean,
your wife's probably like my wife, dude. She's like super supportive for real. Like, I mean, yeah, you wouldn't be doing this if our wives weren't supportive of what we're doing. I mean, seriously, this is my garage, dude. Like, I turned my entire garage into a studio, essentially.
We're the same then. My garage is a mill shop. I mean, this used to be my dining room. Now it's my office. So.
So, what gave you the idea for the Kraken color or crayon thing? Because that was sick. I know Crayola crayon, but like that just, how'd you even come with that, dude? That is nuts.
I just woke up one day and I was like, I need to make a divot tool this week, and I don't know. I saw a crayon on the desk or something. I was like, oh, I can make a divot tool out of that. Just change the tip, make it a little bit sharper, and there we go.
So Kraken instead of Crayola.
Yeah. So it's funny. The first 2 releases of crayons were hard metals. They were copper and they were carbon steel. So the carbon steel one was torched blue to be like a blue crayon. And then the copper one, I just darkened it to make it look like a brown crayon. And then I got the idea from there, like, well, why don't I make them in aluminum, which I normally don't work in aluminum. I kind of look down on aluminum, but because it's easy to machine, it's just fast.
To you, it's not challenging.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not as valuable of a metal as brass or stainless steel or something like that. But the great thing with aluminum, though, is it's lightweight. So if you like something in your pocket, it's not going to weigh you down. And the other thing is it lends itself for anodizing. So that's where all the colors come from.
Like the red. I think we'd reviewed the red one.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't send it to me. You sent it to somebody on my team. You sent it to Damon back in the day. So I still even have a freaking Kraken item in my bag, which makes me really sad. And I was one I found you. I want that fish one, dude. If you're going to fish one, I definitely want a fish one. That fish was sick. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. But so, how many colors of crayons have you done then now?
I think I've done the whole rainbow of colors. So it's the red, blue, green, yellow.
You know, it'd be so freaking sick if you did a gift set, right? Of those, and like you made it into a box, like those crayon boxes, and you put Kraken on the front, and you had like 12 of them in there. I mean, you could sell them for like $250, $300, right? Well, and it'd be like, that would be, that'd be sick, dude.
I've already been there. I actually have a case of crayon boxes with Kraken logos on it, and I just killed it. Wasn't into it. No, I was looking at it. I'm like, do it the
holidays. You got to do it the holidays. For real.
Well, I was thinking about doing like a catch-up pack. So I get people reach out to me all the time that, found Kraken recently. And they're like, oh, I missed all these crayons. I want all these crayons. Right. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'd do a catch-up pack, But
you could do like a what's the word? Not a throwback, but like limited release of something that was one of your best sellers, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Or I'm not trying to sound gimmicky, but like, because some of that stuff is cool as hell, man. And I bet like people see it, they start going through your Instagram feed and they probably get sad and they're like, oh man, that is the coolest thing.
But it's funny, you only see the good stuff, right? You don't know how many times I've screwed up.
So what happens if you screw up? That's a great question.
It happens all the time. It happens every day.
You have to melt it down? Do you toss it?
Toss it usually. I have a boneyard in my shop of just stuff that's never seen the market. I'll make something. I think it's cool, and then it's finished. And I look at it, I'm like, I don't like this. On to the next.
Can you go to like a recycle center and have it melted down for you?
You can. I used to do that a lot. I don't have as much waste anymore as I used to. You
got better and you have better machinery, and you're only not.
Well, it's funny because guys ask me all the time, like, can I have the prototype of that item? And I'm like, I don't make too many prototypes anymore because it's like, I feel like
either I make it and it's crap, I toss it. Why would I give that away? Or I make it and it's good, I'm gonna sell it. Like that's,
I'm brave now in the sense like I'll say like I'm gonna do 50 of something. I'll make 2, take pictures of it, and throw it online and sell it, and I still gotta make 48 more of them. And
so that's another good question right there. Like, so how do you do it now? Like, you come up with an idea, right? Whatever, and then you make 2, let's say. Is that what you do? And then post it and be like, hey, what do you guys think? Or do you say, I'm going to release this only making 50? Like, what's your process for that?
I don't usually ask for permission. I don't usually ask for feedback because I feel like I know my audience now. So I just make it. And I usually will make whatever the first batch is, whether it's 6, 10, 12 on the machine, take a photo of those first couple that come off and say, hey, this is going off on Tuesday. And then, so one thing I do that, your audience might be interested in knowing is I sell to my email audience first. So all my email subscribers, they get an email usually the day of that I'm going to release something that evening only for them. I'll put aside usually 75% of what I'm going to make. I'll sell it to them, and then whatever's left, I'll sell the next day to the general public. And I'll do a release. It'll be on Instagram, but you'll notice a lot of times when I do that post, there'll be people on there. As soon as the post comes out, already got mine. And the sale's not until like later that night. And people will like DM me like, how does he have one if the sale's tonight at 8? And I'm like, oh, he's an email subscriber. So he bought it last night. Yeah. So email subscribers get first access. They get 75% of what I make first, and then 25% is left for.
You give them like a small discount. They buy it, like, oh, you get 5% off or something.
No, well, for new subscribers, they'll get an email to get 10% off their first purchase. But I don't run sales. I mean,
the value of what you're making, and you have so many to make, and it's like, I'm going to sell these to you guys. I'm going to sell to the general public. That's it. I mean, I didn't buy 1,000 of these from China. There's only 12 have been made, or however many you make. Like, you already kind of know.
Yeah, it's usually 30 to 50. The largest release I ever had was a crayon. There was the 4th of July crayon I did last year, which was red, white, and blue. I did 75 of those. And then
how fast that sell out, though? Because you sell pretty fast, right? Like, do you never not sell out? I mean,
I've never had an item not sell out. It usually sells out in 2 or 3 minutes. Something that doesn't resonate as well usually takes 15 minutes. But
you created something, though. You created a market, man. You created demand on something that didn't exist, and that people just know how quality of what you're doing, and they want it, and they want to collect it because they value what you're doing, right? Like that's it.
I hope so. Anyways, I mean, for me, like being a perfectionist, I see flaws in every single item I make.
Of course you do.
I mean, I just did skull and crossbone marker last night, and today actually it's on right now. I don't know how it's doing, but I mean, I see flaws in that. Everything can be made better, and that's like one of my goals every day is how can I make this thing better than the last thing I made? Like, you learn every day.
Bro, you got almost 30,000 followers now. Shit. Like, you didn't have, like, when I met you, you had like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. The only thing you're posting is you're posting your own stuff, right? So that's crazy that people are following you because they're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like, that's crazy.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of work, but yeah, I only post my own stuff. I don't post anything else. I don't post.
Yeah, you're not looking for
memes or anything like
that. No.
Or Paige Spiranak or anything like that.
I mean, dude. So, like, I'm asking me questions about some of these designs, right? Like, okay, when you do this Monopoly marker, right? You do this Monopoly divot tool.
Yeah.
Kind of. It's like Monopoly, right? Do you have to worry about Monopoly saying, oh, you took our picture of our guy and put it on a divot tool? Or you're like, yeah, it's artwork. Like, and it's art. Like, I don't know how that works.
So with something like that, I always alter the image. All right. I never take an image exactly as is. So I add my own spin to it. But whatever. I mean, things have happened to me before. So like Tom Brady's come after me. I've gotten from his attorney, I got a cease and desist letter in the mail one day.
For what? What did you do for Tom Brady?
This is probably 4 years ago. I made a ball marker and a divot tool, and I put TB12 on it, his brand, and I sent it to him at the stadium, right? Just out of the blue, just like trying to.
As a fan.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm a big fan. Love you. I made this for you.
Yeah, and if you want anything for your teammates or anything like that, I'll hook you up, whatever you want, And then, so I just sent it to him. I made one. I sent it to him. That was it. I didn't sell them online, do anything like that. And then I got cease and desist letter in the mail from Tom Yee, who's I guess his lawyer and his agent, saying, how many of these did you sell? And we want, a backlog of all your orders. And I'm like, I made one. I sent it to him. That's it. So they were cool with it. But I have that letter somewhere. I put it in a frame. I thought it was cool.
Cool.
But so I had that, and then I made a.
You should make a Jordan looking one and give it to Jordan. I bet that'd be sick. Or you're now gun shy. You're like, I'm not sending stuff to sports guys anymore. They get all weird about that.
That's when you're trying to grow your brand. You're like, you're just throwing stuff out there, hoping it sticks. Tom Brady posts this. I'll get 1,000 subscribers easily.
Maybe send them to Paige Spearnack and be like, I don't know what you make, but that could work too.
Yeah, I try to stay away from that stuff. I mean, sometimes people ask me to do some stuff that's really like copyright infringement.
You don't want to mess with that shit.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with it. And, and I even know about my own brand. I trademarked my logo, and I don't want anybody putting my logo on their stuff and saying it's me. So, I understand all that. I mean, I definitely take it to the edge on some of my designs. But
this is my opinion on this. I feel like people will throw that around like copyright, trademark, like, oh, whatever, whatever they say. And if you're on this side of the line, like you're not in the gray area, you're like past the gray, not next to the line, and they're acting like dicks about it, then it's like, okay, game on, because this is ridiculous. Like I feel like some people will do that just to like squash you. Yeah. But then but just don't mess with other people's stuff. I mean, people steal my stuff all the time. You know what I do? I take their websites down. That's what I do. No, for reals. Like people have stolen my logo and like will create a golf website and steal my logo, and I've taken their website down. And I've got them de-indexed because I'm like, no, you steal my stuff. Like I can see my articles on your website. Like I'm not stupid, dude. Like that's one thing. But if you're like, I don't know, I still don't be jerks. That's just what it is. But also like you're making art. So if you're sending art to somebody and you're like, hey, I'm a fan, I made this for you, cool beans, then I don't know. It's kind of weird that you would do that. Has anybody else been weird or not really?
No. I mean, other than that, it's been pretty clean.
I had a friend who had a brand once who like he made some stuff that was like had Disney stuff on it. It was like Marvel, whatever. And I was like, "Are you insane?" Like I was like, "You're like there's." And then he brought it to the PGA show and he was showing it, and I was like, dude, we're in freaking Orlando, man. And then like, he's like, it's so funny. I'm like, what? He's like, Disney people just walk right by here. I was like, for real? He's like, yeah. And they like saw it and said it would look nice, and they left. And I was like, you're like just dodged the biggest bullet of your life. The reason I'm asking these questions, I don't really know. And I think people wonder that too, is when you see really cool art products, then people like have some kind of design on it and they're like, oh, it looks a lot like Batman, or like, cause you did a Batman thing. Like, but you said you changed the image, but obviously it's Batman, right? Yeah. So like, would in your mind as an artist, does that worry you about DC or anything like that? You're like, no, man, whatever. I don't know how, like, I mean, does that make sense? I'm not trying to sound.
Yeah, no, I guess I look at it as like, I made 30 pieces.
Dude, they spend so much more money trying to collect what you made on 30 pieces that it's like, you're not like that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm mass producing it in China and T-shirts and I'm selling them at JCPenney or something,
No.
So
plus you put on a piece of metal. It wasn't like you made a T-shirt that said Batman on it and it had Batman on it.
Yeah, and in the Batman case, that was a sketch I did. So
did you really?
Yeah, that's my rendering of it. So for something like
art. Yeah, like you. Wow. See, you are an artist, dude. Don't even lie.
Yeah, but I mean, it was really abstract. It was like a shadow, really. But it's just.
Yeah, but that's so good, dude. Like, did you? I mean, I know you have tats and everything. Like, is that how you got into art? That's when you're a tattoo artist, but like that kind of style, right? Because that inspires you.
Tattoos.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking that question. Like, because really good tattoo artists are really good designers, right? And like, that kind of.
I've designed every one of my tattoos. I mean,
I knew you were gonna freaking say that.
It's on me, but. There's actually a great lady here in Acushnet that does tattoos, Ruby, and she's phenomenal. She's done, I think, 99% of my tattoos.
It's like the person you trust.
Oh yeah, I have an appointment with her in June for another one. So
Really?
I always go back to her. She's cool.
Your stuff is so good. It's just crazy. I also love what you did with like those playing cards that were like you had like an ace and you had like the Kraken looking thing on it. That was sick too.
Yeah.
That was like, dude, it's just the stuff you make. It's like it bridges so many genres because it's almost like an edgier feel as if it was biker related, right? Like a heavy dark metal, like, but then it kind of also bridges it to like mainstream, right? And then more of like gaming, like, I don't know. It's just like you bring in all these elements of like, I'm trying to think of the right word to use. It's almost like,
it's eclectic. I like all the stuff I make are things that I like in my real life, right? So I'm into Marvel, I'm into Batman, I'm into comic stuff, I'm into feng shui and Japanese culture. I think is cool. So I have my whole arm, my left arm is all Japanese stuff.
cool.
So like I bring a lot of that in, and the other part. So there's another reason why it's also growing the brand, right? And to your point, bringing other people into golf. The best message I get from people that buy my stuff is I'm not a golfer, but I just thought this thing was cool and I want it, and it makes me want to play golf. And that's like the best thing I hear from anybody is a non-golfer that gets interested in golf just because they saw one of my items. They want it, so like, that's like the best compliment I could get. But I think it also like brings in other people. Like, for me, like if I make something, like you mentioned the koi fish, right? You tag koi on it and what other words that are associated with that on Instagram, and then ball marker and golf. And you get this whole segment of golfers that maybe never even knew who you were just because you bring in that koi thing. It's another part of their life. It has nothing to do with golf, but it brings them into the fold because it's two things they like potentially, So I think that's a big reason why my audience has grown so fast is that I'm doing golf things, but I'm relating it to other aspects of life. And it brings in a group of demographics that, if I just focused on golf, it'd be the same 300 guys probably, but I add these little other elements that kind of give it a twist. And I think it brings other people into the fold. And I always say growing the game of golf is huge for me. And I don't want to be that stuffy older guy type brand. And there's plenty of those out there. I try to cater to an audience that's a demographic of like 18 to 35, even though I'm well beyond that demographic now. That's who my audience is. The tough part is my stuff's admittedly expensive. So a lot of those guys are just starting their careers or whatever. So, paying $125 for a ball marker is tough. Right. I've been there when I was 25. There's no way I was buying a ball marker for $125, but, I don't know, but it's different. It's a collectible type thing. And that's why I think I over-engineer it to hit that price point. You can't just, do something simple. It has to be inlays with, different combinations of material.
It's the quality. It's like, it's just not crap. I mean, it's so quality, dude. Like, you probably could sell it for twice as much as what you're selling it for now. Like, and people would still buy it because it's just like, it's established. I don't know. I look at, like, I could see your stuff in like a jewelry store, like a high-end jewelry store, or something where like people that have, like, you go in Vegas, right? And you have like these, like, I don't know. I could see it like just sitting there, like, oh, here's like, a ball marker or whatever it is next to some diamond. I don't know. Like, that just, it looks so good. It just, like,
I appreciate it. I mean, that's the goal. I'm trying to make it jewelry without it being gold, but, I mean, I have a hard time pricing it sometimes. Like, when I throw $125, like the marker I did today, the skull and crossbones one's $125. And I get it, man. We're just out of COVID. I mean, there's inflation right now, but at the same time, that thing, I spent a week and a half making these things. There's 50 of them, So I feel bad putting a price on like that, but at the same time, I'm looking at it, I'm like, it probably is worth more than that based on the amount of time I put into it, and it's definitely way over-engineered. But it's freaking cool, So it's a thing. I have a battle internally over that, but at the same time, like, I mean, that's the price.
You price it right. You price it so it's affordable, and that, like, people are not, completely, I don't know what's the word, like, they can't, it's like out of their price range. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it too. It's golfers, so I mean, golf's not an inexpensive sport, So I mean, the guys that are playing golf, if you're playing golf, you probably have a little bit of money. So and I'm not everybody's buying every piece. I mean, there's hardcore guys that, I mean, there's some guys that bought literally every piece I've ever produced. Which to
you're
me
gonna have those guys. Yeah,
that's
gonna grow, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I appreciate those guys. I mean, without those guys, there wouldn't be two Haas's out in the garage right now, honestly. I mean, that's the only – I mean, everything that's done through Kraken, it's completely self-funded. I mean, initially, sure, I put my money in getting the first couple of machines, but since then, it's completely funded by customers, and which is just so crazy. I appreciate it so much because – I mean, there's no way in hell my wife would ever let me buy a $65,000 Haas on our regular paychecks, right?
Oh, there's no way.
So it's like I'm so appreciative of that because, again, without those people that are hardcore collectors, there wouldn't be Kraken Golf. It just wouldn't be,
Well, you create a market that wasn't there. Oh, I just found the picture of the two koi fish. That's so sick. There wouldn't be a market. I mean, you create a market that wasn't there before. There was nobody making I
didn't create it. There's certainly guys that created it. I'll say I'm a follower there, but my hope is that I've moved it in a different direction. That's the thing I always kind of harken back to. I'm definitely not the first. I mean, Scotty Cameron, Bernardi was there before me. Tyson Lamb was there before me. There's a bunch of guys that were there before me, but I just kind of taken it and brought my own little spin to it and the things that I like to it. And I just hope people like what I like. And if they do, maybe they appreciate, some of the stuff I make. But I don't feel like I'm a pioneer by any means. There's certainly other guys that started this way before I have. I followed them, but I just I hopefully taken it in my own direction. I never want to copy anyone else's work. I mean, there's been times where I've made something and then I, did some research after making it and found that someone kind of already did that and immediately scrap it. The last thing I want to do is copy somebody else's work. That's a real important thing for me because I see it, I mean, there's people have kind of copied some of the stuff that I've made. And, at first you get a little bit upset and annoyed by it. And then you start thinking, well, I mean, someone liked it enough where they had to go down that road and, I'll be flattered by it and move on, but that's an important thing for me. I never want to copy someone else's work. I mean,
but you're just being inspired by something and then you make it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can be inspired and change it and make it your own, right? I mean, we're making ball markers at the end of the day. There's only so many ways you can make them, right? So everybody's done something that someone else has kind of done, but there's some guys out there that will blatantly just remake someone's work, right? Which I detest that. And I make sure that that's not part of what I do. I know how much time it takes to make something, to create something. And I'm up at 2 a.m. sometimes thinking of an idea. And then, for someone to copy it, it's just like, that sucks, but you get past it and, that's just the way it is. Right. But I try to make sure I don't. I think that's very important thing for me. And, if anyone ever called me out on it, I would not make something that was someone else's. That's very important to me.
Yeah. You'd be like, you'd just be more like, if somebody said, hey, we already kind of made that, and you saw it, you're like, oh crap. Okay. Well, I'll get rid of that. Like, you don't want to be, that's not who you are. Right. I mean, obviously some people have designs that are similar, right? But then there's also people that do a blatant copy and you're like, I'm not doing that.
Well, you probably see it in your space, right? So, it's the same thing with anything, right? I mean, if you're an originator of something, you want to be the originator of it, right? I don't want to copy someone else's work. It's easy,
When did you start doing putters?
First putter, I think, was 2019. I had it on the shelf here if you want to see it. It's terrible. Really? It's terrible.
Terrible?
No, it's not terrible. It's just really patinaed at this point.
That's cool. People would buy that.
So
terrible. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, it's functionally phenomenal. I used it for 2 seasons before I have the one I have now, but that's the first putter I ever made. It's copper and it's like dark brown patina now, which is pretty cool. And it has a little bit of the octopus engraving on it, as you can see.
That's sick.
But 2019, I think I made this. Now, I don't know. I think I'm up to 225 putters around there, something
When
like
you
that.
make a putter, do you do like how many do you make at a time? One?
One.
I have no idea.
Everyone's one of one. I've never mass produced a putter. And for me, mass production would be more than one. But yeah, they're all one. So on my website, I don't have stock putters. I have stock ball markers and divot tools. There's a couple different styles out there that anybody can get.
People,
but
people like, and you make more of those.
But every putter I've made is essentially one of one. There's not any duplicates.
What does it cost for a putter?
Start at $8.99 for something simple with engravings, and then you get into like exotic metals like Mokum or Damascus, and if you want inlays and stuff like that, then it could go up to $2,000, $2,500, something like that.
What's the most expensive putter you ever sold?
There was a Mokum putter that had a Damascus neck on it, and it was $2,800.
Somebody bought it?
Mm-hmm. It was custom for somebody. They requested.
They wanted it. Yeah.
Yes.
Have you sold any putters, or have you sold any items to famous people that asked for your stuff? No. You're like, oh, that's cool.
I have a couple ball markers and divot tools on tour. Jimmy Walker, for one, has one of my revolver ball markers. Some other guys on tour have had stuff. So I don't have a putter on tour. I have not sold a putter to anyone on tour. Who else? A lot of like football players I've done stuff with. Golden Tate has some of my stuff. Actually, Golden Tate, I made him belt buckles for his whole bachelor party, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
And there were some other football players that were part of his bachelor party. Like, remember Jimmy Clausen? I think he played at Notre Dame. He's the quarterback, and there were some other guys too. So I've done stuff like that. And then you get a lot of baseball players. A lot of baseball players play golf. A lot of minor league guys.
A lot of hockey players play golf.
Hockey players. So I mean, it's not. I don't have Michael Jordan or anything like that. But
no.
But guys that have, guys on tour. Some guys on tour have some of my stuff. There's been some actors. I mean, there's. I wish you would have told me this question in advance. I would have had a list for you. But
oh no, it's cool. I was wondering because you were talking Tom Brady and whatever.
No Tom Brady. No goats.
Oh wait, no. What's new for you guys this year? What's new for you? Like, what do you plan? Anything cool, different? I mean, you always come with designs. I know weekly and monthly, but
Well, in terms of different products, so I'm batting around the idea of doing a subscription for head covers. So head covers.
Are you making them yourself?
No, just my designs though. So that's one idea I have.
That's kind of hard. That's kind of hard, man. I'll tell you. Like, how many head covers do you need, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you should do a subscription for ball markers or like smalls. I guess. How many? I guess I probably cancel that for 5 months because I'd be like, all my covers are head, or all my golf clubs are now covered. You make amazing head covers. I'm just saying that's kind of.
So that's one. I've had a lot of guys ask me to make scorecard holders out of leather. I haven't done one yet, but it's on the design. The design board is pretty large. Just put it that way. So there's a lot of stuff out there that is on the backlog. But so that's something I get asked a lot. This morning I was actually working on a putter type cup that you would put on your rug and practice putting into, but not a basic everyday one that you would find at like Galaxy Golf or something like that. I mean, we talk about
plastic with those little flappy things.
Yeah, we're talking metal with leather on the bottom and some high end stuff here. So I'm working on something like that.
Do you ever do like tournament? Would you ever do like inspired stuff, like tournament inspired, like the Masters inspired? You do a lot of that, don't you?
I did a Masters market last year, divot tool last year, did Masters marker the year before. And those have been some of the craziest designs I've done, actually, those two pieces. I have something special coming up for this Masters. It's leather. I'll leave it at that. It's going to be pretty cool. I try to do tournament events. I didn't do anything really for the Players Championship this week, just because I honestly didn't have time. I had too much other stuff going on. I just couldn't get to it. But I always do something for the Masters.
Big events.
Yeah, I usually do something for the Open, so we'll see. I try to do stuff around that, but honestly, I get bored with it. Like I want to do my crazy stuff that's out in left field more than I want.
Yeah, it's like I feel it could be cliche, right? Or it's like it's the blah 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 inspired whatever, and it's like everybody does that to sell stuff, but then it's like you're just always making cool items, like just things that are like contemporary, whatever stuff that we like. You get that, like I saw that one you have like a king hippo from like Mike Tyson's Punch Out, right? Like stuff that like guys that are our age will remember playing that game. Like, oh, it's cool, I'd buy that. Like that is where you should be spending time on. Is like stuff that's like nostalgic, but like modern take to a nostalgic thing. Like I don't know. I think that if you just do like, oh, it's a Tiger Woods going like this ball marker, it's like great. Everybody makes a million of those things. It's almost.
I try to do like lately. I don't know if you saw the dice ball marker.
Those are cool.
So I've been trying to do stuff that's really like you throw that on the green, you kind of look like an asshole, but at the same time, that's me. Like I'm the type of guy that would throw that on the green and be like, dude, putt around it. I'll slide it to the left for you a little bit. So like
a real big one, like a big ass one, you should do like a Rubik's Cube one. That'd be cool.
Somebody messaged me the other day on that actually, which is funny that you brought it up.
If you're doing dice, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
What if you do like a circular one that's like a globe? That'd be cool. Like an old. I just think of all things you do, like because Kraken, you think of like sailing and like that nostalgic.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of that stuff early on. Like a lot of my early releases were like ocean themed stuff, and then I think I kind of just got away from it. Like I was just, Kraken now is just like whatever I'm into right now, and to make something that kind of represents it. It doesn't have to be ocean. It could be
all over the place, dude.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason, right? It's just like it's whatever inspires you, and you're like, I'm gonna make that Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, skull and crossbones today, and maybe I'll do a Care Bear next week or something.
Yeah, like for real. Like that'd be funny. A Care Bear, the Kraken symbol on its stomach.
Yeah, something like that.
What I think is cool about what you're doing is that you're not a one-trick pony, and you're not like, oh, I just make ball markers and they're cool. Like you've expanded so much over the last 4 years that you went from like ball markers, the divot tools, the putters. Then you start going to leather goods, right? Like it's completely different, not even the same realm, right? And you start making like all the leather good stuff, and it's like you just do what you want, right?
Yeah,
like,
there's no restrictions, right? Having your own business, but I'll tell you what, leather for me is just like soothing. Like it's something where I can sit down. I have like either TV on or radio or listen to music, and I'm just like moving through this leather. And then I get inspired a lot by leather now. I've been watching, like, what really inspires me is like some of the high-end luxury brands and the leather wallets and stuff that they do. Like Louis Vuitton and stuff like that, like some crazy, crazy stuff, right? So I'm so inspired that last week I went out and I bought a UV printer so that I can actually print on leather and do some of the stuff, like my own spin on what kind of like Louis Vuitton does with like their logo all over the leather and stuff. So a lot of that.
It's so smart, man. Because I even think about this, like, bringing females now into what you're making. Because like right now, it's a bunch of dudes buying that stuff. I already know it, right? Like, but it's like, okay, now you're making cool leather stuff that like is kind of high end, and it's like no one's doing that. I mean, nobody's that I can think of.
Well, I mean,
especially
we just talked about it. So I noticed someone the other day was making a tool holder for ball markers and divot tools, kind of similar to what I make design wise, right? It happens, whatever. So like the first thing I tell my wife is like, how am I gonna like get away from this guy? I want to make my stuff, but I don't want anyone to copy it. So the first thing I thought is, let's go buy a machine that costs a whole lot of money that someone's not gonna be able to follow me, at least not immediately. Because
you can make the shitty looking Chinese knockoff of that ball marker holder thing, or it's like your clientele is different, right? They want quality. They're just looking for something they can go buy. If they want to go buy that thing, they go buy it on Amazon. It's the way you separate yourself from what everybody else is doing is just it's not the work. I don't want to say quality. It's just like the level of intricacy of what you're doing, right? That like, I have no problem spending $100 for that ball marker when I can still buy that same ball marker for $9 on Amazon, right? Ball marker is a ball marker, but it's like I want that cool ass one because it's like whatever. That's smart. It's like that's how you separate yourselves out without having to deal with the bullshit of people trying to copy you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I'm gonna start introducing UV prints on my leather now. So, I mean, nobody does it. Nobody does it in golf right now. Nobody. So I'll be the first.
You should do those scorecard books, dude. Those sell for a lot of money. Everyone's doing them though. That's the thing too. It's like, do you want to be mainstream? Like, oh, I'm doing it because everyone else is doing it. You know, like 2 years ago, nobody was doing those things, and then all of a sudden, everyone's doing it.
Yeah, honestly, the only reason I haven't done one yet is it's bigger than my wallets, and the amount of time it's going to take me to actually sew that thing by hand. That's the only reason why I haven't done it yet.
What about? That'd be the same issue if you did like a glove holder too, one of those glove pocket things, you know.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be the same issue, and those things are cheap anyway. So
yeah, I mean, I will do a card holder at some point, a scorecard holder at some point, because I've seen everybody that's out there in the market, and there's some nice ones, but I know I can make it different, like a lot different.
Better.
So it's just a matter of, do I have time for it? You know, and each of those are hand saddle stitch. So it's not like I have a sewing machine even. Like I'm literally stitching it by hand. So, and saddle stitch is better than sewing machine anyways, because they're individual stitches. So if one breaks, your wallet's still fine. You know, so that's why I do saddle stitch. Plus, I think it looks cool with the French stitching on it. It's different. You just don't, I mean, you don't find it.
Nerd. You're such a nerd, dude.
You sound like my wife.
It's so cool. It's so cool because you're so into it. Like, you know, but it's like, cause you know what you want, right? You know, like the quality of the stitch. It's like, I'm not mass producing this for, I can, you know, to make $150. It's like, I know I'm making a high quality item that will really last because of the type of stitch I put on it and the amount of time I put into the product I'm making. Right. And it's like,
it's funny because I told the guy last week, he was asking me about making him a custom one, which I don't do. I don't make custom leather goods because it just takes too long. I make 10.
Not worth it. No way, man. I'm not doing that.
So he was asking me about it, and I was like, well, you know, I have a release this week. I'm like, you might want to pick this release up because it'll be the first one which I do French stitch instead of straight stitch. And the guy's like, I don't care. I don't care about the stitch. You know, it's just like the stitch has a slant to it rather than being straight. So like,
always your calling, dude. You just didn't realize it. You should do a YouTube. You should do YouTube of you making stuff. Do you do that or no? Not teaching, but being like, oh, I'm gonna make this X, and then it's like it's just kind of like you running around like a crazy person in your thing making.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You have the time to actually like, you know, produce it afterwards and, you know, chop it up and put music to it and all that. I don't have time to do it. So I'll do live streams once in a while on Instagram.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I've seen where it says Kraken's doing a live stream. I've never seen that.
Yeah, once in a while I'll do that, and then I try to do some videos of like behind the scenes. I'll put it up on my story. But my wife actually bought me those Ray-Ban sunglasses with the camera built into them. So that's pretty cool because it hooks up to my phone. I just throw the sunglasses on. I actually need to pop the lenses out because I can't see with sunglasses on and sew and stuff. So
I'm gonna throw like friggin' like Ray Charles.
Yeah, so I'm gonna destroy these glasses. My wife was like, I bought you sunglasses, and like you're gonna pop the lenses out. They're like $300 sunglasses. So like, I don't care about the sunglass part. I want the camera that's built in, so I can actually see the work I'm doing and kind of like a point of view perspective of sewing a wallet or something, you know, which would be pretty cool.
It'd be very cool.
Yeah, so
it'll show your competition how to make it.
Well, it's funny. My one of my customers, Trent Donahue. Trent is like awesome. He's a big time collector, and he was the one that mentioned it to me. He's like, "Hey, you ever thought about getting these glasses? And there's a camera in them, and blah blah blah." I'm like, I have those glasses. I didn't realize there was a camera in them. My wife bought them for me for Christmas. I'm like, oh, they're sunglasses, whatever, you know, Ray-Bans, whatever. I didn't know there was a camera in them. So he's the one that told me. I'm like, oh crap, there's a camera in my sunglasses. I can use this to videotape.
What if you wore when you're going to the bathroom? You're like, you forget about it. You're like, and you're like Naked Gun. Remember Naked Gun when he had that mic on still and he goes to the bathroom? That'd be me. I would totally forget the camera on, right?
Nobody wants to see that, but
nobody wants to see that, but it'd be funny. I'm just saying, like, it'd be funny. You're like, oh crap. One of our listeners right now chimed in, and they said you should start doing. It'd be cool if you start doing automotive stuff or biker stuff.
Well,
you do that.
Well, yeah. So this was funny, actually. You mentioned that. So my buddy that was with me in Next 18, my partner, now just my golf buddy now, we talk about all the time. Like all the machinery I have now could easily do stuff outside of golf, you know? And we're constantly batting things around, and then it always comes down to like I don't even have time to do Kraken. How am I?
No, you don't have time, dude. We don't have time. But you could do like old automotive-looking ball markers, like old brands that used to exist a million years ago, and like come play off of that. That'd be cool. You know,
yeah, well, it's funny. On my design board, I just put something up maybe a month ago, and I haven't got to it yet. But it was like old racing car logos on the side of the doors. So I had like the huge numbers, but all the numbers have like. They're different fonts, there's different color schemes. They're like pretty cool looking. And the first thing I think of is brass ball marker. I'm gonna replicate the colors with leather and like do a number 7. So it's simple, but the color scheme and it has like a cool font because it's like old race car type fonts. Nothing to do with golf, but I just think they look cool. So they'll be coming at some point when I ever get to that point of the design board. But
you could have a show called Marc's Custom Golf stuff, like you know, like on like they had like Count's Custom Cars. That'd be you, but you'd be like making, and there'd be a show just of you like, oh, so and so came and wants us to make this whatever, and then it's like you make like I could see a show like that.
Well, you know what? It's a cool show. I watch on. I think it's on History Channel. They have the guys that was it Forge or something? They make swords and all kinds of stuff like right there on camera, and they're competing like 3 or 4 guys, and they're making swords and they're forging them and crazy stuff. And I always say, you know, if you could get a couple of us makers making ball markers and divot tools, that would be a show. I would watch it. I don't know about everybody else, but like, how it's made or something behind the scenes. Like, I think that'd be a good show. Yeah. And there's a bunch of us in the space, you know, from Scotty Cameron all the way down, you know, kind of feature different people making stuff. I think people would watch.
Well, that's kind of what I want to do.
I think Golf Channel should pick it up. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd watch that too. It's been a long show, and I know you got to go. So I just wanted to say thank you for being on the show today. You guys definitely need to check out Kraken Golf. They are amazing, or he's amazing. I don't know how to say it. It's Marc. It's crazy to see how much he's grown, because like, and it makes me happy to see that, because everything he's done and the growth he has to do with his creativity and the quality, and it is shine through, and that's why he's doing as well as he's doing. And it's just cool to see that, right? Because a lot of people start this and they don't continue it, or the quality goes down, and you're the opposite. Your quality is going up, and your complexity of what you're doing is going up on everything you do, and you're not making like basic stuff, right? And so I think like I think you need to quit your job. That's what I think. But that's I know it's not gonna happen, but someday.
Yeah, we'll get there.
So where can people find Kraken at? So krakengolf.com? Yeah,
krakengolf.com. On Instagram, it's just Kraken Golf. Instagram is where all the latest and greatest stuff goes. I mean, some of it goes on Facebook too, but if you really want to follow me, Instagram's the best spot to see what I'm working on.
You're always on there, huh? Like you're always on Instagram.
Yeah, it's like a second job on Instagram. Social media is a big part of what I do, and it takes up a whole lot of time. So, yeah.
How big is your team? Is it just you and your wife?
It's not even my wife. My wife doesn't do much. I mean, my daughter probably more so.
Is it you and your like little girl?
Yeah,
daughter,
your little daughter does a lot of packaging, so a lot of shipping.
So that's your team. That's how big this team is. Big team.
Yeah. That's it.
Dude, you got such crazy growth. That's just, it's awesome, because there's not like, I have a team of 10 people helping me now. It's like, no, man. I'm working on my full-time job too, and I grew this brand from nothing into a real brand that has like real followers and cool products. And I don't know. I just think you're so talented.
No, Thank you. And, the important thing for me is every single item that comes from me is made by me. There's no other person painting or doing anything.
No, it's you. It's your name on it. It's it. Like, it's just it. You know, you're not going to risk it. So, you know. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the show, and I will see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Behind the Golf Brand Podcast.
You're going to beat me at golf?
Stay connected on and off the show by visiting golfersauthority.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Golf is always more fun when you win.
Stay out of the beach and see you on the green.